We are going to be creating a packaged self-initializing Angular Material Icons Asset service. And I know that's a mouthful, but this is going to be really useful. So let's get into it. Now, this is for packaging SVG assets in general, in particular your custom SVG assets like icons that you've drawn for your services or website, or your logo, or anything like that. We are going to be packaging the Firefly Semantics SVG logo just so that we have an example of something to package. And just so you get a better idea of what the final product is going to be, here we have a material icon in our template, and it sets the SVG property to the name that we registered for the logo that you're seeing over here. And if we look at our app module, the only thing we needed to get this working was to import this asset module and this mat icon module and register them, and then we can go ahead and use our custom SVG logo. So that is what we're going to be building. As always, the written tutorial that you see here is included in a link below in the description. The first thing we need to do is create an asset workspace for our library. So as you can see here, we're going to go ahead and execute this command, ng new asset workspace -- create application equals false. All right, we've created our workspace and CD'd into it, and now we're going to go ahead and run ng generate library svg assets. Our library has been generated, so we're going to go ahead and open this up in VS Code and get to work. There. We are only going to be packaging a service. So the first thing we're going to do is go in here to our library here, and we're going to delete the spec files and the components, the module. Actually, we'll keep the module. We'll delete the component and the spec file, and we're also going to delete the service spec file, and that's pretty good. So we're going to keep these two files, the module file and the service file, and these are what we are going to be building out next. Since we're using Angular material for this, we need to go ahead and install it. So we're going to do ng add at Angular material and fire that off, and that's going to add it to our workspace. This is the Stackblitz that we have linked to in the description, and we're going to go ahead and open up the asset service that we have here. And we're going to copy it, and we're going to move it over into our asset service in our project. So we'll copy that over like that. Okay, at the top of the service here, we have an SVG object of type key asset. And the reason we have that key asset there is because without it, we get lint errors in VS Code, and we'll show you what we mean. Okay, we're going to go ahead and remove key asset on the SVG object. And when we do that, we see that down here we have this lint error that says element implicitly has any type because expression of type string can't be used by the index type. So when we try to access something using a key on the SVG object, that's the lint error that is produced. So we're going to go ahead and put the index type field back on here like that, and that fixes that problem. So now we have our SVG asset service. And this SVG object here has a set of asset types bound to each key on it. And the first one we have is this FS logo, which is something that is named logo, and this is the URL to it that we have pointing to GitHub. And so in this case, we only have one asset because this is just a demo, and we don't really need more assets to do the demo. And so we'll go ahead and use that. And then down here, we are iterating over the keys in that SVG object. And then for each asset on the object, we go ahead and add that to the mat icon registry here by accessing the name and passing the URL through the DOM sanitizer. This is something that is required by Angular in order to register URLs safely. All right, we have this service now, and this service uses the mat icon registry, and that registry uses the Angular HTTP client. And so we need to tell any Angular app that is using this service that it also needs the mat icon registry and the Angular HTTP client. And the way we're going to tell Angular that is by defining a module, and so that's what we're going to do next. So we are in our Stackblitz, and we're going to go ahead and grab this assets module, and we're going to copy it over to the SVG assets module here. We'll just copy that in like that, and we need to change this name a little bit because it was a little bit different in the Stackblitz, and there we go. So now we see that what this module does is it declares the asset service as a provider, and that means it's providing this asset service. And then it also has these imports, the mat icon module, the HTTP client module, and the common module. And these are just modules that help the service do what it does. And so we needed to tell Angular that this module also needs these other modules in order to work properly. And then we go ahead and inject the asset service in the constructor of the module, and that is what initializes it and fetches the icons so that they're ready when the application boots. And we're going to see how that works when we start using this package. Before we can package this up and publish it to NPM, we need to define our public API. And we deleted the assets component, so we're going to go ahead and delete it from our API as well. And there we go. Now it's ready. Before we can set up our build and publish script, we need to change the package name of the asset. So let's go ahead and change that to @firefly semantics svg assets example. And this way we know that this is a package that is built for this tutorial only. We are also going to add @Angular material to the peer dependencies so that we know that we depend on that as well. Okay, I've gone ahead and added some build scripts to our main package.json. This is the root level package.json, not the one for the library. And what we see here is we first have this IG script or install global script, and it installs JS DevTool version bump prompt for us. And what that does is allows us to bump the patch version of the library whenever we try to build it or publish it. So we can go down here and we see that we have our build script here. It just runs ng build svg assets. We have a bump patch script which CDs into the assets project and then bumps the patch. And finally, we have the publish script, and what this does is it copies the root level README down into the library. And then it runs bump patch and it builds the library here. And finally, it CDs into the distribution that has been built and runs publish. So that's the set of build scripts that we need to manage this library. So we are going to go ahead and run this from the main command line by copying the publish script over. And the reason we're doing this is because we need to add --access public to the end of npm publish, because this is the first time we're publishing this library. All right, let's go ahead and publish this. And there we go. Now it's on npm. All right, we're on npm now, and we see that the library is now available here on npm. It doesn't have a license or a version or anything because we left those off, but we can go ahead and use it on a Stackblitz. So we're going to do that next. So I'm on Stackblitz and I created a new Angular project, and I've copied in the name of our example asset project down here, and I'm going to go ahead and hit return. It's going to grab the dependencies, and it's also going to pull in Angular material for us because we depend on that along with the CDK. So we'll go ahead and install those. Another thing we need to do, since this is Stackblitz and we don't want to see linting errors related to the theme, is paste in the Indigo theme. And so we've done that here. And we're going to make this Stackblitz available too in the description. So just look for that there if you want to go ahead and grab these things. Now, within the module, we need to go ahead and add our assets module and the mat icon module. So we've imported both of those here, and we've added them to the imports array in the imports block. Within the template, we're going to be referencing the SVG object that we declared in our service. So we need to go ahead and import that here. And then we're going to just say SVG equals SVG inside the body of the app component. And finally, the big moment. We can go ahead and declare our icon. And so we've done that here. And you notice that it says SVG icon as one of the properties on this element. And that points to svgfslogo.name. And that is our name that we registered when we registered this asset. And in order to get the size and color, we use the inline style and we set the width, the height, and the font size all to 42 pixels. And that is something that you have to set all at once when you try to set the size of a custom SVG icon. And the color can be controlled as well, and we're setting that to red. So let's go ahead and open our project, and we see here that we now have access to that asset. And the really nice thing about this is when you look at our module, we never had to do anything besides import the asset module into our application in order to get this working. We didn't have to create a separate service. We didn't have to do anything. It's all self-initialized. All right, I really hope you enjoyed this guide and you get some use out of it. And if you have any questions or comments, please just leave them for me and I'll get back to you. And as always, please like and subscribe, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.